Morning, South Africa, and this is the Morning Express, brought to you by myself, MBELE, right here on Galaxy Universal Network in our headquarters in Midrand, Johannesburg. And as we take a look at your headlines, Police Minister MBELE says that South Africans need to continue adherence to lockdown regulations. Grahamstown Magistrates Court to hear Lungisa's bail application this afternoon. South Africa has recorded 1,555 new COVID cases, bringing the country's total confirmed cases to 661,211. And the National Education and Health Applied Workers Union will on Monday lead a protest at the union buildings in Pretoria. And taking a look at our sporting stories. And we are looking at Tottenham Hotspur's signing one of the newest players who scored a hat-trick, and we get into that story later on in the news. And allow us to take a look at your headlines. Police Minister MBELE has urged for continued lockdown appliance from South Africans as the country moves to alert level 1 lockdown. MBELE, who partook in the final operations of OK Mlawu in the Ekurhuleni at the past weekend, said that the operation has attempted by this office to try and reduce crime and in numerous areas around Gauteng, the Gauteng province rather, and particularly in Ekurhuleni.
Okay, Minister, there's somebody How are you? That's fun. How are you? Why are you drinking? Why are you drinking and running? Yes, well, it's important to say not just the men and women in blue. We have a lot of USADF members. We have the Metro Police. It's a really good coordinated operation. We have even private security companies working with us. Why so, as you ask, and this, what you see here is not only what you see. Almost in all districts today, we are there. As you are saying, we are trying to reduce crime. One way of reducing crime is to get the illegal firearms. We have found one already, but for the last 48 hours we found 30 of illegal firearms. So that's the kind of the operations that we need to do. And if we do manage to reduce the illegal firearms, we will be able to reduce the violent crime that end up killing.
And also, will you be joining other provinces? Perhaps you have future plans to join other provinces as well. But I know it's something that you continuously do, where you are found in other provinces in terms of the various operations that they have there. Are you happy with what's been found? And is this bearing fruit, these type of operations?
Earlier on, I was in Cape Town. I hope your colleagues, they have managed to see us in Cape Town. Last weekend, I was in KZN. Had very good returns. Maybe remind people that today the curfew starts ends at 10. So anybody that thinks will rob us and want to leave.
African National Congress, the politician Andile Lungisa's bail hearing is expected to take place in Grahamstown Magistrates Court in the Makhanda in the Eastern Cape this afternoon rather. Lungisa handed himself over at the North End Correctional Service Centre on Thursday to serve his 2-year sentence for assault. This while his legal team is in the processes of filing papers to the Constitutional Court to hear an appeal to lessen the sentence. The Supreme Court of Appeal dismissed Lungisa's appeal to have his sentence lessened or turned into correctional supervision. Lungisa was convicted for the assault of Democratic Alliance councillor Mr. Kaysen after hitting him with a glass jug over the head during the brawl during the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro Council meeting in 2016. Earlier in September, the ANC NEC announced a resolution that all members facing criminal charges must step down from their positions with immediate effect. South Africa has now recorded 1,555 new COVID-19 cases, bringing the country's total confirmed cases to 661,211. Gauteng's accounts for the most of the country's cases for provincially within 217,370 and also totaling to 32.9%, followed by KwaZulu-Natal with over 117,743 cases. That gives it a total of 17.8%. The country has also recorded 30 new COVID-19 related fatalities, bringing the total number of deaths to 15,953. In a statement, Health Minister Dr. Zweli Mkhize says most of the new deaths are recorded from the Western Cape. The province recorded 6 of the 13 COVID-19 related deaths. Dr. Mkhize said that regrettably that they have reported 13 more COVID-19 related deaths, 3 from the Eastern Cape, 1 from KwaZulu-Natal, 3 from Gauteng and 6 from the Western Cape. This brings the total number of COVID-19 related deaths to 15,953. They extended their condolences to the loved ones of the departed and thanked the healthcare workers that treated the deceased patients with care. The Western Cape has recorded the most deaths provincially with 4,117 COVID-19 related deaths, followed by Gauteng with 4,030 deaths. The total number of the deaths is 4 million of tested positive cases is 4,401,543 tests have been conducted to date in the country, with over 16,884 new tests conducted in the last 24-hour cycle. 590,000 cases, people have recovered from the virus, bringing the recovery rate to 89.2%. Over 20,000 teachers who were granted concessions to work from home during the lockdown are expected to return today as the country moves to alert level 1. The National Teachers Union has called on the Department of Basic Education to reconsider keeping substitute teachers in the schools until the end of the year. Over 20,000 teachers who were granted concessions to work from home during the lockdown are expected to return to work on Monday. And this means that today most of the teachers will have to be back at school. The substitute teachers were employed in their absence. Meanwhile, the South African Democratic Teachers Union has advised educators who are not ready to return to school on Monday to apply for normal leave, as the concessions agreement for them to work from home has expired. All teachers who were granted concessions to work from home during the national lockdown have to report back to school today. The Basic Department of Education says 22,500 teachers were given permission to work from home as the countries battle the COVID-19 pandemic.
Teachers were working from home, that the schools need to continue to meet their contractual obligations with the substitute teachers, but can also find ways of accommodating them if it is possible. We urge schools to continue to place safety as a priority in order to make sure that all our learners and our teachers are protected from the coronavirus, which is still with us.
And we just brought you the first edition of the headlines and stories on what has been happening in and around your world. Allow us to take this quick ad break and we'll be back after this.
Hello. The fourth industrial technology era has forcefully changed how every profession has been working for its clients. The world has become smaller than what we used to think. Imagine the ease of talking to a person who is in Australia, China, or Germany while you are in South Africa, as if you're just next door. The ease that globalization and the fourth industrial technology have brought to humanity entail doing business anywhere in the world as long as you have the purpose and the means. It is our expertise as MBELE Incorporated to advise clients immigrating to South Africa on various permits and on opportunities for travelers who intend to sojourn in South Africa for a longer period of time.
Ayé náà ti kéré ju èyí tí a rò lọ nítorí náà ìmọ̀ wa ní ìsìlọ àti òfin àgbáyé ṣe wá ní ọ́fíìsì àkókò lórí àwọn ìṣòwò ilé àti ìgbaniláyé láti gba ìwé ìrìnnà fún iṣẹ́ okòwò.
Ho MBELE Incorporated re ba eletsi dinotari le basebedisi le di-office tša rena kua Pretoria, Johannesburg le Bloemfontein. MBELE Incorporated e humanega ga bonolo go bareki ba rena. Go humana tlhagiso leseding ka botlalo re kgopela le re leletše mogala go 012 341 4187 goba le re ngwalele lengwalo tsebile go admin@chabangu.co.za. MBELE Incorporated mo mathata a humanago tharollo.
Well, welcome back from the ad break. And that special feature that we always have for you, where we profile young people that are doing amazing things in the various communities. And today I get to be joined by Ritume Tsishebe, who is a journalist, a founder of the 016 magazine, where she gets to write about what is happening in the East Rand. Well, I'd say in the Val, because she's a writer, also a journalist that documents all things brand new, all things that are happening, all things that are breaking out and new stories that should be heard. Hello, Ritume, how are you?
Good morning. Hi, Harmony. Good morning to your viewers.
Thank you very much. Well, let's get right into it. Who are you? Take me through journalism. Where did that bug bite you?
I like that question. The journalism bug bit me. I think I've always been a writer. Mm-hmm. I think it's always been there. I remember when I was a child, I looked through a newspaper and the headline said, a person's finger was found in a bottle of old gold tomato sauce. And I was like so intrigued and I wanted to know what happened. That was the first story I ever read. Mm-hmm. And I really wanted to inform people about things like that. So it's always been there. I've always been a writer. I got the privilege of actually getting a journalism qualification and graduating top of my class. So this is a calling, if anything else.
Oh, wow. And I mean, you say you graduated. Take me through that process of you saying that as a young person, I believe that I should be writing on what is happening throughout the world, not only within my community, but I think the step that you took to have your own magazine, the 016, so that you can start and establish your writing skills. Take me through that.
Well, the 016 magazine I started this year in February. And 7 issues down the line, we are doing so well. Our reach is growing, our audience is growing. I really wanted to create a community of readers because as much as we are all operating on social media, people don't read much. We just skim through certain posts and all of that. So I needed to have a hub where if you really want to know what's happening in the Val, you have all the information in one space. That's really what I wanted to do. And it's been going great so far.
Oh, wow. Well, have you had the opportunity of working at any publication media houses for news productions? So what has happened post you graduating?
So I have interned at a few big corporations in Joburg, but then again, I came back to the Val because I didn't want talent to leave the Val. So that's why I am profiling creatives and small business owners, just to let them know that we acknowledge them, we see them, we value them, and we support them. I don't want people to leave the Val with talent and go live in Joburg and go make money so they can come back and be like, yeah, I'm from the Val. I want us to nurture talent while it's still in the Val, so people in the Val can know what they have around them. Do you know what I mean?
And I hear you exactly. But take me through that that hard-hitting realization when you realize that people need to start reading more, and I think it has to be something that has to be done within our community.
Right. Reading is such a big problem in our communities, and sometimes when you are well-spoken and when you are well-read, you are ostracized and you are chastised and you are made to feel like you're making yourself like you are better.
Absolutely.
Which is not true. When you read, when you practice reading, you eventually become good at it. So why not start now? Why not practice by reading about the local person who just started a new brand? Why not read about a local author who's actually doing amazing things? It starts with little things. So writing about relevant things gets people to read, which is good. And it's the aim of the magazine, really.
Oh, wow. So will we be seeing you just profiling people from the Val? Are we going to see you hard-hitting within politics, business, entrepreneurship, and you giving us all the latest scoops in our latest newspapers?
Absolutely. In and around the Val, thank God, I get invited. I'm like the only journalist that gets invited to events, protests. So I'll definitely be giving you guys updates.
You should. And I think, please tell us about what was happening this past weekend, because there was a protest that you covered this past weekend. Take us through what was happening.
Okay, so there are ward-based health workers that were protesting over the weekend. And they were protesting against the municipality. There were three issues that were highlighted here. Number one, the fact that the municipality is really taking advantage of them. And by that, I mean they are hogging onto their files. So they don't want to release their files so they can get work in provincial levels. That's number one. Number two, these files are used by the municipality to get funding. So the municipality uses these files to get funding, but the funding doesn't go all the way to the health workers. It stays at the municipality level, which is a problem. Number three, there was another health workers group called the Robots, which seem to do less work than the ward-based ones. Because the ward-based ones do door-to-door activations, they do COVID-19 testing, and the robots are mainly at clinics. So it was a big misunderstanding. They didn't understand how the robots got to secure permanent jobs while they've been asking for permanent jobs for over 12 years.
Are we talking about artificial...
the biggest issues.
Excuse me to interject there, but are we talking about artificial robots that are actually doing work that civilians, human beings can actually do?
We are talking about human beings being called the robots.
Oh,
it's just a name for their organization. Yeah. And they were really, really mad about that. And I stand with them.
Yes.
I know journalists should be
not you being biased and taking a stance with someone else.
Right. But I understand if you've been working for a place for over 12 years and have just been constantly been given contracts instead of being heard. I felt like their grievances were not heard because they left there without being given at least a promise, at least an agreement, at least a contract. And their cries really fell on deaf ears. The municipality really needs to step up in terms of how they treat their employees.
Absolutely. Well, the greatest question is, what do you want to say? If they are listening, if they are watching at this point, what do you want to say to the municipality and how they are treating the workers in the Val, and what do you think is the way forward?
What I'd like to say to them is they need to invest in their human resources. You can't have people picketing outside your offices and not even give them the dignity of speaking to them. They were demanding to speak to a certain Achimokonani who is part of the executive offices, and they didn't even come out. His car was parked outside, but he didn't even come out. So at least respect people enough to speak to them when they are complaining about something. If your workers are complaining, hear them and hear their needs. We're not saying pay them R1 million up front. We're saying organize a plan. The least you could do is negotiate with them. So at least they leave knowing they were heard.
Yeah.
And a way forward would be for better communication. And I think if they do communicate better, there'll be less protests. But if they don't communicate, I'll have more stories to cover. So that's fine. Works for me.
But hey, tell me about your future plans before we wrap this conversation up.
Future plans are, I don't want to move to Joburg. I love the Val. I love telling authentic stories in the Val. If I do get an opportunity to move to Joburg, I'll have to move my whole team here because I really want to inspire women. I want to inspire young journalists as well. There's not much, there's not many journalists in the world. I'm probably the only one in the world. And I really want to inspire people not to read, not just to read, but also to be involved around what's happening around you. Also, the media is not there to traumatize you. People are saying the media traumatizes them. Our main job is to tell you what's happening around you. So our main focus is to tell stories. The niche of journalism is storytelling, and that's really all we're doing. It's not like we are sitting here picketing, we are sitting here speaking against corruption. We are really telling you what's happening around you. So it's mainly people who are picketing, and we are there to tell you that people are picketing. So don't get it twisted. The media is there to tell stories, and that's all we do.
I hear you. Well, how can people get a hold of the magazine, the publication, the 016, and so that people can really start getting to read about what's happening within the area of the Vaal?
Thank you so much. You can reach us on Instagram. We are the 016, and Facebook as well. And then I'm redoing it on all social media platforms.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for joining us today right here on The Morning Express.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Have a lovely day.
Thank you very much. You too. Have a good one. Well, South Africa, as we continue with our leading stories and what is happening within our sporting headlines. We'll see you guys quickly after this quick commercial ad break.
Tech Talk brought to you by Tamani Technologies and Systems. Tamani Technologies and Systems takes leadership in fourth industrial revolution. The whole world is facing a transformation. The revolution will be developed into the following stages: digitization, cyber security, Internet of Things, managed services, document management, and business applications. We provide business transformation and ICT solutions with presence in 13 African countries and 2 European countries. We are your leading partner in integrated platform providers, innovation leaders, standalone products, and innovation pace setters. Tamani Technologies and Systems, delivering value across continents.
And now taking a look at our sports stories. South Korean forward Son Heung-min of the Premier League Tottenham Spur scored 4 goals in his first wicket where in the league against Southampton's. In the second Premier League match of the season with Southampton at St. Mary Stadium in Southampton on Sunday, Son led the Spurs rally for a 5-2 victory. With the Spur railing 1-0 near the break, Son scored an equalizer during injury time. It was Son's first goal of the season after scoring no goals with his first 2 matches earlier on this month.
His finishing today has been utterly ruthless. Lo Celso, Kane, Son. Springs away from Stevens, and Son has scored again. Goals, either's finish, right on half-time. It is 1-1.
Well, that was all we brought for you right here on The Morning Express. All the leading stories and headlines, even brought you a sporting headline, a victory one, and that was. My name is MBELE, right here on The Morning Express on Galaxy Universal Network. It's a good one. See you same time, same place tomorrow morning. Let's go.